Jim, live like you have 3 years left. Maybe this video is going to get everybody high on their horses, get into their existential crisis here. I will be bringing it to you here today. So I will bring you guys a story to bring this video first most, where I was hanging out with some of my friends in Discord call, and I was playing League of Legends, I think, with them. And we were basically in queue, we were waiting for someone, and essentially I was like, oh shoot, I gotta take a shower, guys. I'll be right back. And they're like, dude, what the heck? Why do we're just gonna be waiting for 20 minutes? And I'm like, no, don't worry. I shower for like 5 minutes, right? And they're like, no way, you're capping, right? So they started timing me. I went upstairs, I bolted upstairs, I took my clothes off, I went to the shower, I rinsed pretty cleanly with the soap and the water, and I got the whole operation done in about 3 minutes, and I put my clothes back on. I rushed back down, and I came back, and they're like, hey, oh, hey, what's up? You're back, right? You just take like a bathroom break or something? And I'm like, no, I'm done showering. And they're like, well, what the fuck? This guy is, okay, this guy's like a little crazy because, a lot of people when they take a shower, for some reason, they love to take 20, 30 minutes, put on the music and treat like it is their safe time. I mean, if that is your ritual for you to relax, then sure, no problem. But for me personally, it is just something to get out of the way. You have to wash your body sometimes, and I understand it's therapeutic because the water is on your skin and it's pouring down on it. It's a little hot and it makes you feel good. I understand, but I usually try to reduce the time spent on that as much as possible. But this kind of just made me realize that holy crap, because they made a comment where, oh, this guy just loves to min-max his time. And I'm like, yeah, that is true. Like, they're saying like kind of jokingly, and it is true to an extent, because whenever I do anything, or within any day at all, I do plan out every single minute. Whenever I find a minute to do something, I'm out here going to go do it. And yeah, I noticed like some people, when I'm talking with them or they're doing their thing, I'm just like, holy crap, why does it feel like everybody takes 5 times longer than I do to do literally anything? It doesn't take that much time to like take a shower, for example, or even perhaps get some food, for example. It doesn't take 3 hours to get some food. Like, sometimes when you're in a Discord call and then your friend is like, oh shoot, wait, I'm kind of hungry, yo, I'll be back. You're waiting for 2 hours later, maybe you're scrolling on Instagram and you're like, yo, where the fuck is this dude? He's not even here yet. And like it's like the fucking next day and he's still in the call, and he comes back, he's like, all right, I just came back, I just finished eating. And you're like, what? Bro, I was waiting for 16 fucking hours and now you just finally came back. What the fuck? Like, for me personally, if I'm gonna go eat, if I have to cook a whole ass meal from scratch, it takes me 30 minutes to cook it all up and then eat it and then clean the dishes. It takes 30 fucking minutes to do that because I'm fast at it. But then some of these people, they take so fucking long, and that comes back to this video thread about live like you have 3 years left, because this is an existential crisis that I face on a daily basis, where I am saying, holy fuck, okay, we only have 120 years left to live, I guess. I mean, that's what the Bible says. I was reading some of that in the beginning. I think it was like in Exodus. I think God was saying, yeah, you guys are only going to live to 120, after Abraham was like, yeah, I'm not gonna live past 1,000-year-old for the humans anymore, but people past me are gonna like live to 120 or something like that. And I don't know if that's like the actual rule or the law or the lore behind the humanity, but I was looking up the ages of how long people live, like the longest people to ever live, and yeah, it is pretty consistent around 120. Maybe there's like a plus or minus 2 years, like 122, 118, but for the most part, 120 seems to be the age limit, and no human has really gone past that within recent historical records. So that kind of made me a little bit intrigued. I don't know if the Bible's like actually setting the law, or if it's that they're interpreting the world. I'm not really sure, but that was quite interesting, where let's say that the biological age limit of a human is 120 years. Okay, well, right now I'm 22 years. I have 98 years left to go. That's still a lot of time. Like, I feel like I lived a whole ass lifetime in 22 years, which I have, right? Because that is my entire lifetime. But if you also think about it, with every year that passes in your lifetime, the older you get, becomes less and less consequential or important to the whole lifespan. So like, let's say you're 1 year old as a baby, and the next year, a year two, well, the year two, but that 1 year is like 50% of your lifespan right there. That is half your life that you just lived. But if you're 22 and you live another year, what is that? That is like 5% of your new life. So like, it is literally 10x less consequential than a fucking baby from year 1 to year 2. So pretty much every year it just gets faster and faster, which it seems that like another reason why it seems that the older you get, the faster time seems to pass by. And especially for people who don't essentially motivate themselves to take on a certain path in life, and they essentially just live a life full of aimless wandering and just hoping, oh, maybe someday it'll happen. And then 10 years later, and they realize they've been in the same job or the same place with the same girl, and they're like, what the fuck, what happened to all the years? And like, even me, like, I'm about to become 23 in like 3 months, and I'm like, holy fuck, I don't have enough time. Because I was also thinking about my own parents, right? So my parents were like 50, 60 or something, and one of my parents, they aren't exactly the most healthy because American diets and whatnot. And I'm essentially here saying, okay, well, these guys, they might die soon in 10 to 15 years, because if you're fat like that, then you're probably going to die pretty soon, like around 70s, 8, like you'll be lucky to get past 70. And one of my parents is within that health, and I'm trying to do as much as I can to help myself first so I can help my parents, because I have the healthy habits that will honestly get me to age 120 in my own opinion, because I've really locked in my health at that point. But my parents, if I don't work harder and if I just keep it as how things are, they only have like 15, 20 years left. And when you think about that your parents only have 15, 20 years left because they're not doing the habits that you are, and of course, like, you're probably just thinking, oh, why don't you just tell them, just take a walk or eat. Trust me, I am doing my darnest best to do that, but it's more better to lead by example than to lead by force, I suppose. And I have my own life I need to focus on. I haven't systemized my life to the point where I can spend all the time with my family like that just yet. Maybe once I get there, then sure. But right now, it's not the best thing to do. So when I think about that my parents only have 15, 20 years left to live, fuck. Then I'm just like, okay, I don't have time for any of this. I don't think any of you guys realize that. If you guys have older parents like me, then and you realize that you're like getting fat, dude, you gotta lock the fuck in. But another thing to take action on this, right? Because this all seems like all doom and gloom and existential dread. And I do think about this on a daily basis, that I don't have time. And that is one of the things that essentially motivate my own existence, where I do try to min-max every hour, every minute of my day. Like even me here, I am doing this lesson or this video right before I'm about to do some tutoring with the quant, with the Japanese quant. And I'm essentially making this video right before that. Some people, they'll probably just be scrolling Instagram for like an hour before they do the tutoring, but no, I'm trying to min-max each minute in time of my life here. And you know, some people might be saying, oh, you're 22, you have all the time in the world next to you. I mean, yeah, if you want to look at it from a selfish perspective, yeah, I do have 98 years left to live if I just fuck around and just do my whole daily habits and I don't make any improvement for myself. Yeah, I'll live to that long, assuming nothing goes wrong. But I'm the type of person to be quite empathetic about the people I care about, and I need to make sure that they're okay. So that's probably why I'm very, very paranoid about all of these things, and why I have this large desire and need to succeed, or else I will be an utmost failure. That's just one of the darkest truths about myself. But what I've taken action on for this, you guys are probably like, what the hell, dude? You just gave me the biggest existential crises. And if I did, then good. I hope you think about it. But the action for how I'm going to do this, as I said before in the longer video I made, the first one with the rants, I said that I will have a 3-year plan, where I said that on year 1, I'll do this, year 2, I'll do this, year 3, I'll do this. Essentially my plan to go to Japan, right? Because that is, from a skills perspective, to also grow as a man, I think it will be probably one of the leveraging moments that I can use with my own money that I save. You know, some people think that their leverage for money is to buy a house or a car. First of all, a car is a depreciation asset, and then also buying a house. That Ponzi scheme, I don't know how long it's gonna last. I'm not a expert on it, but the fact that the housing market, you know, it just gets artificially increased in demand over and over again, while people can't even afford the demand anymore. I don't know. Something about that seems kind of sketchy about the housing market. I don't think it will be the next thing. If anything, I think it's crypto or Bitcoin. Yeah, just Bitcoin. Bitcoin and crypto are different things. But yeah, I am more of a lover of that. But besides that, what I'm trying to say here is that I have a plan. I have everything I essentially calibrated system-wise. It took me a few months for me to really get this into a pretty decent state. It is due for calibration as the months go on, as things in my life change. But for the most part, I have a plan. And for you guys as well, if you are also feeling this existential dread, you also need to make a 3-year plan. Year 1, year 2, year 3. What am I going to do? to achieve these goals? What are my goals? Why do they matter to me? And how am I going to achieve them? You know, you have to think about this from every perspective and every angle and how you're going to get there, so you can create a system such that the things that you want in life can be achieved by you and not just be up to chance, right? Because my future will be dependent on me, not dependent on a lottery ticket. So that is very, very important, and that is my action there. And you know, the results of that will be that if you have 3 years left to live and you live like that, because I already named it like that, like the 3-year goal plan, such that I will only have 3 years left to live, even though I only have, no, I do have like 98 years to live. Well, what are the results of that? Of course, I'll achieve everything I wanted to do by the 3rd year. You know, if I undershoot the mark, well, I'll still have made much more progress than if I didn't treat it as if I only had 3 years left to live. So I don't know, maybe the way I live life seems very stressful and extreme to a lot of people, and they can't handle that level of stress. I don't know how the fuck I handle it on a daily basis, honestly, without crashing out all the fucking time. You know, it kind of happens sometimes, but for the most part, I'm holding up pretty decently as long as you rest and sleep well, and every so often you do the things that you enjoy, which for me is playing this video game called Osu, and I love playing that sometimes. Getting better at it, it is honestly my meditative thing. Like, it doesn't benefit my future at all, but it is honestly meditative. And you know, maybe some people, the red pill people, say that mental health doesn't exist, but I think it does to some level. Maybe it's just because I'm a Gen Z person and I was raised amongst that soft environments, so I'm kind of like a weird mix of that. But for the most part, for me, I don't think there is such a thing that you can completely grind all the fucking time. And like, I've tried it, okay? You need some rest, but the rest doesn't need to be 80%, right? You have to think about that from Pareto distribution. 80% of the time you should be working, 20% of the time you should be chilling or resting or relaxing. So maybe it can be like 70-30 if you talk about sleep as well in terms of time. Yeah, it's probably more like 70-30, 70% working, 30% resting, or 60-40, something like that. But essentially what I'm trying to say here in this video is that live life like you only have 3 years left. And you know, it is much better than the average person who does not have any plan at all, and they're just hoping things happen to them by luck. And you know, I don't know, this is just a rant that people just take so much fucking time to do anything, and it pisses me off, and I wanted to talk about it. And if you are one of these type of people, then I hope you analyze your own situation and be like, damn, maybe I am taking way too long to eat food, and I left my friend on Discord, and we said we were going to I don't know, do the Fortnite match or something, but I left him on edge for 8 fucking hours. Like, it's fucking annoying. And another thing about this, just like another rant, if these people have no respect for their time, like they're doing all of this stuff, you can best make sure, or best ensure that they have no respect for your time, and you can set your boundaries accordingly. If you're okay with that, then fine. But for me personally, I'm starting to get to the stage and need where the people that I talk with, I need to have a higher standard where essentially, you know, I mean, I don't know, that sounds very sociopathic, because I don't really super believe in that, or that if you level up in life, quote unquote, that you should abandon all your friends. I don't think that. But when it comes to how you spend your time, you have to make sure that the time you spent is the most advantageous to yourself as possible, right? Because it's always better to be selfish, and then you can be selfless afterwards. You have to be selfish first to achieve your goals, and once you achieve your goals, then you can help other people achieve your goals. And I don't know, I'm kind of at that stage right now. If some of my friends are watching that, this is not like a diss towards you guys or anything. I'm just saying that, like, I have to take more time for myself, because I actually was slapped really fucking hard recently, like a huge slap in the face about I gotta lock the fuck in. And I'll disclose that another time. I'm just gonna say that's probably one of my main motives for saying these type of things and making these type of videos. Maybe this will motivate somebody, or maybe something I can watch into the future and be like, damn, this guy was out here working his ass off, and then now I'm chilling out here. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's kind of just my lesson, peek into my psyche. And yeah, I'll see you guys.